Hello, I am Kenny Pyatt. I'm the founder of DevOcho, and I have a special guest with me today. So, Jorge, will you introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Jorge Guzmán. I am, of course, from here, from the Dominican Republic. I'm 23 years old, and I'm a junior developer here at DevOcho.
So, we wanted to kind of have a conversation in today's podcast about the journey and about Jorge, specifically because it's kind of an interesting story that we think people would be interested in, and because Jorge is technically our first unofficial employee, and I
Yeah,
think he was like the second actual employee.
I was the fourth one,
Oh, the fourth one? Who
unfortunately.
snuck in it? Okay, that's fine. That just had to be a paperwork shuffle because we knew we were hiring Jorge very quickly. So, Jorge, let's tell the story kind of about how we met. And I
Sure.
guess, I don't know, like we can do this kind of in a tandem. I'll tell parts that I remember, you tell parts that you remember.
Sure.
So, my family, if you've watched our other episodes, you know, we lived on a sailboat. We were traveling the Caribbean and we came to the Dominican Republic and we're not your typical tourists. We were traveling trying to go to where the locals go, trying to see how societies and cultures live. So we put our boat in the north coast of the DR. We got in a tiny little bus and we went exploring the city or the country. We got to Santiago and we are driving everywhere. And we're using Uber because Uber is a really good option here in the city, or mostly a good option here in the city. Every once in a while, you can get a crazy Uber driver. But we wanted to go to McDonald's and we were staying in an Airbnb. And so we picked up Uber, like the American, like gringos. We pick up Uber, we pick McDonald's, and Jorge shows up.
I remember back then my English was not as good as it is right now. So the moment I kind of encouraged myself to actually speak to you, the moment you knew I spoke English, you started like telling me everything that you've done and all the plans you had. That was the very first time that we talked about all this, or at least the idea you had.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've told you this. We're going to McDonald's. Jorge, like my Spanish was awful. My Spanish is still not awesome, but it was awful. And I'm like, hola, mi nombre es Kenny. Like just horrible. And he like, I speak English. Oh, hey, cool. Like we can have a conversation. And just like literally, it wasn't even like 2 miles from where we were
No.
to the McDonald's. And in that miles, I knew we were going to travel from Santiago to a city called La Vega. And so I was looking for a way to get there, and there really wasn't a lot of good options. So I thought, hey, Jorge, how would you like to do a trip that's not in the app? And it's a little risky. I mean, I could be crazy,
Yeah.
but my family was with me, so hopefully I don't look
To
as
be honest, it didn't look like that
okay.
at all. That's why I trusted you.
Yeah. So I asked him if he could take us, and he said absolutely. And Jorge is super cool. I don't even remember telling you how much I was going to pay you.
No.
You're just like, yeah, we'll go. That's fine. and
I mean, to me, back in that moment, it was not about the money. I mean,
yeah,
every chance that I could get to work,
right.
why not?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So La Vega, I don't know how far would you say, like 30 minutes, 45 minutes?
nah, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's about like a half an hour, maybe a little bit more to go. And he drove us all the way to our next Airbnb. And we were talking on the journey.
Yeah.
And I'm just a super curious person. At that point, I didn't have the idea for Devocho yet. I had ideas that maybe something needed to happen, that the DR needed some opportunities, but I didn't have this idea. And we're talking, and he was in school for computer science, and he had a friend that was in school for computer science, and we were just kind of talking about all those
Yeah.
things. And I was asking like probably very personal questions, and Jorge's like, "Sure, I'll answer."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Usually people, when you're in that line of work, when you're in Uber, people usually open up to you for some reason that I don't know
interesting,
yet, but yeah.
interesting. So I remember asking you like salary ranges of what you'd expect to make after school and all these things. And it kind of started like adding information to the idea of maybe we should start a business or do something to help. And I remember also the conversation you were having was programming's hard.
Yeah.
Like learning how to do this is difficult. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely true. So from the moment we met, it took 2 years or 3 years for me to start the business.
Think it was 2.5 years, something
Okay.
like that.
Yeah. So tell me your journey, like between our first meeting and you working at DevOcho, like kind of what was going on in life.
Okay. Well, at that moment, I was exclusively doing Uber. That's all I did because I was also going to college. And after that, I remember I got into a call center, in the customer service department. And my idea was to get my English better because I felt like that was needed. I was working there for 1 year and 3 months. Then I went back to do an Uber because I knew at that moment I already knew about DevOcho and all that was going to happen and that you were going to hire me. So I just waited for 8 months.
So we met the first time going to McDonald's,
Yep.
second time going to La Vega the next a couple days later.
Yep.
And then it was another year maybe before we stopped you guys again because we took
Yeah.
our boat all the way to Grenada, waited for hurricane season, then came back.
Yeah.
And when we came back, we hung out a couple times.
Yeah. That was the time we went to the restaurant.
Yeah,
I think it
yeah.
was. Yeah.
And that's at the point where I really had the idea.
Yep.
At that point, I kind of like, this is what I think we should do. We started having conversations with the lawyers and trying to get figured out like how even legally can I start a business in a different country. So yeah, we started to have that conversation. So now that you're here, and I remember too, we talked about you coming to work here. Remember your dad was a little skeptical at first, like, who's this guy? Like, what's
Not,
going on?
not a little, not a little. I mean, he was not into it at all. I tried to move slow with that back then because I knew how it looked. It was not, it didn't know what I knew.
Yeah.
So
I
it
mean,
was understandable.
as a dad, yeah, if my daughters are in a big company, stable job, and they
It's good.
come to me and go like, "Hey, there's this crazy gringo that's moving here and starting a business. I want to go work for him." I would also be like, "I don't know
Nope.
about all this. Like, what's going on?"
He was not happy.
Yeah, I mean that
But he
makes
is
sense.
now, though. I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay. Good.
I wanted you to know that he's very happy.
Very cool. I made a deal. Jorge's still like finishing college, and I've made the deal with Jorge. I'm not going to be the reason his dad shows up screaming and yelling at me. So college has to be more important than what we're doing right now. So now that we're here, what's it like to work at DevOcho? How has the experience been?
It's certainly good. Overall, it's pretty good. On one side, you have being a programmer, which is not easy, as you said. But on the other side, you have all the advantages that we have, like team buildings, like the Free Soda Friday, and overall the culture that you brought here is not something that you usually see, at least not in the DR. Here, that's not normal at all, and everyone here knows that. So working at the Vocho is something different, but not necessarily bad.
So I have to ask, like, compared to the call center.
It's very, very good. That's a joke since I started working here. See, asking me that since the very first day.
Yeah, the goal we set was so call center jobs here are um, some of the jobs that you can get. And I've always set the goal of we are going to be better than a call center. I'll talk a little bit about the culture because everybody may not understand
Yeah.
some of the terms that you use. But like team building is a concept that everybody would understand. But the way that we do team building is once a month, we take a Friday afternoon and we go somewhere fun or we do a community service event. So like last month we went to a kid's school and we just bought a bunch of toys and things and we went over there and we set up a soccer goal and played with the kids for an afternoon.
We
And
just spent time with them.
yeah,
I think that was the most important thing we did.
yeah, that was pretty cool. And then this Friday we're gonna go play paintball. So that's fun.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go. This is funny, but we're gonna go play paintball immediately after we do a reorganization, like who reports to who and what's going on. And so I've been making the joke that if I don't make decisions people like, they're gonna shoot me a lot at the paintball field. So hopefully that won't be too crazy. The other thing that he said was Free Soda Friday. So you want to explain Free Soda Friday?
Yeah, sure. Basically, the whole company just goes into this space that we have here is a big space. And one person has to do a presentation about one topic that they understand is helpful for the rest of the company. And also, there are some other Christopher Fridays where usually Kenny and the rest of the leaders speak about the current state of the Bocho. That way, and I understand that you're letting us know how the Bocho is doing currently. I think it's pretty good.
This is an idea I got from Rob Belenfant at Technology Advice, and I loved it. So I 100% thank you, Rob, for letting me steal that idea. So basically, every Friday at 4:15, we bring everybody into our lunchroom, which is our largest room. We used to buy beer and soda, but we had one employee
Yeah.
that apparently really can't handle beer. So we decided that we're just going to go soda and juices and things like that. It's also more healthy for us. But we buy everybody a soda and we have a quick like 30 minutes meeting. And in that meeting, every other one, we do what Jorge said. We have a presentation. I think that knowledge is really valuable. So if you teach us something, you can teach the whole company something, or maybe teach us that we need to learn more about a topic. That's really valuable. So we want to have a chance to share that. We do pay people for doing presentations. It's not a large amount, but it's sufficient enough
No, it's pretty good
that people want to do the
for what it
presentation.
is. It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
and that's a fun thing. I From the very beginning when we were starting our company, our goal was to try to create a really great culture, and why that's important. I used to work with a lot of offshore companies, and you'd start a project, and the culture of these larger consulting shops, not all of them, but some of them, is pretty toxic. And the people don't want to stay working there. So I would start a project with 7, 8 people, and by like 2 months in, it'd be like 4 of those people were different. They had hired new people in because those guys had quit. And so I really wanted to create a company that people want to be at and really treat our people right, try to treat them with respect, level up a little bit in the DR so that we're creating competition. So other companies have to do some of the things that we're doing. So we provide lunch every day. We have these
Mm.
fun events that we do. We do training and mentoring and other things to try to, create a cool culture.
I was going to say that the amount that we have for the food is actually for what I've seen, it's pretty good. A little bit above of what companies usually do. So I think that will be one of the most important benefits that we have here
Yeah.
on top of everything else.
I'm a little worried about our current setup because we were doing individual meals, and then we've just now switched to this buffet, like catered lunch buffet. And I'm worried we're gonna all get fat. So I'm like trying to figure out how we're gonna like, hey guys, don't take too much food, calm down, like 'cause it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the journey of DevOcho and what we're doing, we've overcome a handful of challenges. We've had some things that haven't gone well. One of the more fun stories that we have, Jorge lived with us through the experience of getting our equipment here for the very first opening of our
Oh
office.
boy.
And so I think that'd be a fun story to tell. So we registered our business in like the summer of 2024, I believe. And it just took a long time for the bureaucracy and everything to get approved. We found our office in the winter, like November or something of that year, signed a lease, got ready to get started. And then it just took another like 2 months or 3 months for the inspections and permits and permission. And I'm waiting. I bought all this stuff and I put it in a storage unit in Texas. And I've got like 25 desks and computers and servers and all of the lunchroom tables and chairs, just all this stuff, enough to fill an entire container. And we're just waiting for the permission to ship it. And we're told we've got permission. We've hired our HR manager as our first employee, and we're ready to start. And it's like February, early February. So the shipping company told us when we ship the container, it will take a week or two to have the stuff. So I pull the trigger and we ship everything, and it gets to the country, and then I still don't know exactly what happened. It gets stuck in the port, and they won't release it, and they keep saying we don't have paperwork we're supposed to have or things that we're supposed to have. And so we're having meetings. We're working off folding tables and like laptops that I bought in a local store here, but we're not letting all of our employees start because we don't have equipment for everybody. And I don't want to buy all the stuff twice, obviously. And the stuff I bought in the container was drastically better than the laptop I was buying at this little store. So finally, we get the word that we're going to get everything. We've hired, I think, 8 or 9 people at that point to be our first team.
Yeah.
And we give everybody a start date of April 1st or 2nd. It's right at the
Correct.
first week of
That was the
April.
first.
And you want to tell the story of the night the container finally came?
Yeah. I remember it was what was it, Saturday?
Yes, it was a Saturday. It was supposed
And
to be Friday night.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Monday of the third next week, it was the first. So we were supposed to start. It was either Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, I
One of
can't
those 2
remember.
days. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the container was supposed to get to the office on Friday at 10 p.m. Was it? I
Yeah,
think it was.
it was even earlier than that. It was supposed to be there at like 6 or 7 o'clock. Yeah.
Well, to make the story shorter, it basically did arrive to the office at 1 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah. So
Then when we actually had the truck with the container there, we couldn't open it. We had to wait for someone on the how's that called?
customs.
of the customs department to arrive, so they will open it. Allegedly, we didn't know what was going on,
Oh
so
my
basically
gosh.
we had to stay until the very next day. I mean, we slept in my car. Me and Kenya slept
So
in my
so
car.
yeah, so I remember we ordered pizza
Yeah,
that night.
that was crazy.
So we were because we thought it was going to come earlier.
Yeah,
And so we ordered pizza. We're all hanging out at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon at the office.
yeah.
And the container, we can track it on our phone. It's not leaving the capital.
It's not
It's
moving
not
at
moving.
all.
And I still don't know why that was. It sat for like 5 or 6 hours before it started moving. And then when it started moving, we kind of like several people left the office. Jorge, myself, and a couple other people stayed.
Yeah.
And then it finally arrives at the office, and there's 4 guys in the truck with the container. They're going to help us unload it. And the customs didn't show up
At all.
at
Not
all.
not even
And
the next day.
they didn't show up for weeks later. Long story short, one of the guys with us figures out how to unlock the lock for the customs,
Yep.
and he opens the container. We break the seal. We had a message from our lawyer saying that was okay. So we were following the lawyer's instruction, and we unload the container. And then this container was supposed to have shown up like the second week of March. We were supposed to have 3 weeks to get all the desks set up and the computers and network and everything working. But because it didn't show up for another 3 weeks, the first day of Jorge's employment, we were building desks and
Yeah.
doing that.
That the very first of April 2025, it was everyone, like the whole DevOcho, we were just setting up stuff and assembling desks and chairs, and it was fun
Oh,
though.
it ended
Actually,
up being
it was.
like very positive for like building our team. Like
Yeah,
we all lived through this experience.
that's on point. I think.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have planned it that way. I would have actually planned it where we were all organized and everybody shows up on day one and everything's already set up, but that's not the plans that God had. So the fun part of this whole moment for me, like I said, I would never have thought, let's make a container late on purpose so that
Yeah.
everybody has to build their own desk. But it's created this kind of fun idea when we ship more equipment here. Everybody's like, well, the new people need to build their own desks. Like, we don't do that. But we have built a lot of desks
Yeah.
in the
I
company.
mean, for the second container you had here, we also built that.
We did
We
the
assembled
second
all that,
shipment we assembled
but it was the
ourselves.
whole company, so it was
It was a
easier.
lot faster. We did it in like an afternoon.
Yeah.
So switching gears now, when we hired you, the promise that I made to you was, we have training. We'll put you through our training. Can you kind of talk about the training and how that went? Was that helpful? Like,
Sure. Well, to begin with, I was really scared when I got into the show, or when we started thinking about you hiring me. So Kenny just told me about the training, and he explained to me that it was going to be helpful and it had all that I needed to succeed here. Now that I went through it, and it was like more than a year ago almost, it was helpful. Like, it really has every tool that you will need here, at least to begin your career inside the show. It did for me. All the things that I know now, all the things that I use here, the base, the very foundation of that, it's in that training. So that training, I would say for this very moment, for a programmer, it's very, very useful, at least for the beginning of your career at the show. So it's
So-
really, really good.
and that was like, if you watched our first episode, the original plan was not to open a business. It was to open a training, like boot camp or a training school, where we would do a trade of programming. We'll teach you how to program. We'll teach you how to do QA, UI, UX, those skills. And we learned that there were people here that had the skill, but didn't have opportunities. So we pivoted the business, but we had the training. It's beautiful training. And we realized we could take junior programmers and help them quickly level up. So our average is less than 90 days for people in training. The more experience you have, the faster you go through it, which it makes sense. So the training is something that sets us apart from a lot of our competitors as well. Most of our competitors are going to hire somebody, pull them off the street, and drop them on a project, because that's what they have to do. We hire somebody, we put them through 2 months of training, and then drop them on a project. So it's a little different, because we know that by the end of those 2 months, they know what language we speak as far as how we talk about projects. They know all the tools. They know our process, like the DevOcho way. Like they know how we build software. And so it's proven to be insanely valuable. Had I started this idea of building DevOcho just initially as a business, I would have never written that training because I would have thought I'm just going to hire smart people and that's what I'll do. But I was incorrect in that I didn't believe there were going to be a ton of programmers in the Dominican Republic. I just didn't, I had a really bad perception, an incorrect perception. I had a great perception of the people, and that is correct. The people here are awesome. But I had an incorrect perception of I'm going to find a bunch of programmers. We've found a ton of programmers. So the training has just become this great onboarding tool that we use. Sorry, we're getting a little long winded. Talk about Jorge, that like working on a team, what that's like, how we structure teams here at DevOcho, kind of like what's been your experience with the teams?
I think the way the teams are built here is one of the two things that have helped me the most and the whole time that I've been here. One would be the training, as I just said. The other one is my team. It's like the guys that I work with. Without them, I was not going to get very far, to be honest. So there's a lot of that training that I really like. I really needed help with some sections of it. And being as junior as I am, or even more, I was back then, I really struggled with some sections of it. So my team was there for me in those moments. So we all helped each other. And that carried on to the point that we still do that in the projects. Even if we are not working on the same project, I can go over one of them and ask them about something. They will help me. Having a team of people that are there to help you, not only on the technical part, but also to organize you, I think it's the best thing
Yeah.
because I couldn't figure it out a way to do it more efficiently. So I think, yeah, working in teams here would be one of those two things that have carried me to the point that I am right now.
I love that. So the reason that I wanted to build teams and offer teams to customers instead of just a programmer or just a group of programmers. The idea is you need the whole set of skills to build software. And that means you need somebody that can help plan it. You need somebody that can think about the features and the order that you should build things in. You need somebody that's a user experience that's thinking about how can we shave a couple clicks off this process? How can we make this screen more aesthetically pleasing so that users know what to do when they first pull it up? You need the QA person that's testing the work and making sure the system works the way it's supposed to work. You
Very
need the developer, obviously, to build it. And it also helps to have a DevOps person thinking about security, thinking about the deployment, thinking about the different environments where the software needs to work and be safe and safe for users to use and put really mission critical data. So from the very beginning, the idea was we need to have at least 5 different people available to every project. So we created our first team with that idea in mind. And it's really proven to be very successful. We've done a lot of projects. And I know from my own personal experience, if you don't have all those people together in a room, it's really difficult to get that communication. To have that UI UX person say, like, can we move that button a little bit over? And can we add these things to this form? And in the conversation, it's like, oh yeah, okay, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
But when it's just an engineer by themselves, they're like, look, it works. Why are you complaining? Like, I don't understand. But it's not going to ever be as beautiful or as functional as when you have that whole team. A lot of people make the decision to buy, like to build software, and then they make the decision to save money, and they think they're saving money by hiring a single developer off Fiverr or wherever. And the reality is, you end up with a much worse product. There are awesome software engineers that are on those platforms, but because they're not part of a team, they're not getting that like feedback, that support, the collective ideas, because you get a lot better ideas from the group.
For sure. And you could be the best programmer in the world. You will make mistakes.
Yeah,
And being in a team, it's easier to spoke those
that's awesome.
mistakes and that division of responsibilities also makes things easier for the rest of the team because you can focus on what you really have to do and it makes everything more efficient.
I love that. All right, last topic we're going to talk about, and then we'll say goodbye. And I think right now I'm supposed to say, like, please follow us on social media, like and subscribe. I think I was actually probably supposed to say that earlier, but please do those things. It helps us out a lot. So the last topic I was going to talk, Jorge's been here basically since the first day we opened the doors. What's it been like? And more recently, we've grown from that initial 10, 11 people to 32 people. Kind of talk about what has that been like?
I mean, it's been wonderful. That would be the word I would use to describe the whole
You can
thing.
be honest. You don't have to
No,
like
no, no,
just
no,
because I'm sitting.
no, no, no. I mean, if I have to choose a word for the whole process, since the very first day to right now, it's been wonderful to be part of it, to be here and to get to see all the things that we've gone through. If we want to go into more specifics, it's a bit scary because we know it's only up from here. And at first, we were just 11 to 12 people.
Yeah.
I mean, it was easy to talk to each other, to organize stuff, those in buildings or Freestyle Fridays, or we didn't have as much work as we do now. It's getting like really, really real too fast. So for one side, it's very good because Bocho is growing. We're getting better day by day. On the other hand, it's a bit scary because it's getting like we're getting big and we're doing it fast.
Yeah. It's kind of awesome. We're able to rent the entire floor of a building, and we're now hitting the point where we're running out of space in the floor of this building. And so we're talking about like, we've probably got room for maybe another like 8, 10 people. So what do we do after that? What's the next phase for us? And so, yeah, there are moments where we don't know. We're still figuring that out. For me, the thing that the whole idea of the company was to create opportunities. We want to create opportunities here in the Dominican Republic for people like Jorge, but we also want to create opportunities for companies in the United States. And so we've had a really good opportunity so far this year. We're on track. I hope this holds, but we're signing up a customer basically every month. And for us, like our projects are typically pretty big and require a team to finish the project. So you're looking at like by the end of the year, we could double theoretically from the size we are now to double the size we are now. So we're trying to make sure we hold our culture. We do a good job on that. We're the reorganization that we're doing is to put some more people in leadership. So we're building out like a different structure as far as how people report to each other. But yeah, that's the scary part, right? Like we're going to make mistakes and we're going to learn. I think the reason I think we're going to be okay, we're hiring insanely smart people. We're
Yeah.
hiring people that really are good at what they do. The last round of people that we hired are, to me, are just so impressive and they've so quickly become part of the team and they're doing great work. So I've been really happy with the caliber of people. And so to me, like if you have a bunch of smart people and you're honest with them, you explain the problems, you explain the situation. Smart people figure things out and they make things happen. And so that's what's happening. We're figuring it out. Like it wasn't 5 months ago, we weren't in this room with our you can't see this, but it's our lunchroom that we're sitting in the corner of. But we've got 40 seats for lunch now. We didn't have that 5 months ago. And we
Mhm.
we were able to rent this other side of the floor, build it out, put in air conditioners and get the room set up. And we're going to figure the next step out. We're setting up our first move into hybrid work because we're going to run out of space. So we're going to need to be able to do some hotel desking while we find our next office. And so, yeah, those are the fun challenges to me. Like the, we've created 32 opportunities. We've created opportunities for people to have jobs.
So far, I think that was your main goal
That's right.
originally. And I think the Vocho has been like it has been doing a really good job at it. And it's only going up. That's that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the growth is exponentially
Yeah, I mean,
as we
not
go,
quite exponentially, but way faster
but
than
it
I
will
wanted it to be.
but it will be
If
because
we keep going.
if you're planning to double the size that we have right now and just to the end of this year,
I'm not planning on it. I'm just saying that's like
possible.
it's possible.
Okay.
I my plan when we started this year was that we would hit 40 people, and we're in May and it's 32. So that's happened much faster than I expected. So it's possible we'll go past that. The thing that's also really cool, like we are doing a good job for our customers, and I know that because our customers are coming back for second and third
Mm.
projects already. And so that makes me really excited. Our very first customer has renewed with us for another project that we're talking about. Maybe there's another one. I hope we'll see. But we're helping these companies, and so that's also really awesome. It's not just about building a big company or building a big
Yeah.
team. It's something that one of my old bosses used to say that I really like was if you're a good company, you should grow because you're helping create good jobs. You should grow so more people get to work at a good company. if you're a good company and you're helping your customers, you should grow so you get to help more customers, right? So that's our goal. We want to be a good company. We want to help people. We want to put the right people on the right projects, deliver for everybody. We want to make sure we're intelligent and smart about how we grow so that we're stable and safe. One of the hardest things, like as a founder, is it takes a lot of cash to grow a business. And so far we're bootstrapped. Like I put up the initial money and we've just been financing as we go. But there is a point where if we keep growing at this rate, like we're going to have to be wise with money or go into debt. And I don't love going into debt as somebody from Dave Ramsey's hometown. I am supposed to not go into debt. So yeah, there's some challenges, and to me, like it's cool to have people like Jorge working with us to help us. And again, I hope I do a good job. I really try to lead very transparently. This is the problem, guys. This is what we're trying to solve. Please help me solve this problem. So
You've been doing a good job. I think that is what's keeping people motivated. And more than that is just have a good job overall.
yeah,
Because it's pretty much better than the overall opportunities that we have here based on everything that you've explained and the vision that we have, the values, keeping the values as we grow.
yeah, we've got to maintain our value. That's important.
And we've made a good work with the 32 employees that we have at the moment. 30, 32,
32.
32. So yeah, I think for now, the Bocho is the best it can be for the moment. It's even better than what you expected. So
Yeah, I'm excited about it. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Jorge, we pulled Jorge off. He was working on bugs for a customer and he's supposed to release it today. So he's a little stressed about getting back over there.
yeah, thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. Thank you for joining the podcast. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.
See you later.